Welcome to the Scottish Basketball Podcast. We post weekly episodes on the senior game in Scotland. You can join for free on Patreon, Spotify, and YouTube to receive a notification when new episodes are released. Access to the podcast episodes will always be free. You can make a contribution for yourself or for someone else as a gift through membership on Patreon. However small and infrequent, any contribution is very helpful and very much appreciated. You can get in touch with the podcast by sending us a message on Instagram or an email. If you like the content, share and send it to a friend who you think would like it too. I'm delighted to welcome Dan and Lynn to the podcast. Hi, guys.
Andrew.
Hi.
How you getting on?
Yeah, good, not too bad.
Lynn, were you at the end of season event?
Yeah, it was great. They've definitely upscaled it from previous years. They used to just do it in the fan zone. We actually had it on court, which was, a massive difference to last year. It was well attended. We obviously have our usual sword ceremony, which some people love, some people hate, but I like it. It's a nice way to close the season, and I really enjoyed the event. It's a nice chance to say goodbye to the players as well. So, I really enjoyed it.
What do you think of it?
No, I think it was good as well. Just starting on this point, it was kind of well attended, well organised. I think it definitely looked the part as well. I could see it being kind of set up kind of professionally as plans. There was seats dotted about. People knew where they were sitting, and they had at the table all the awards and all the sort of the gifts that they were going to give out. So that was good to see. I think people were kind of coming together for kind of one last time in the season, kind of to reflect, kind of look back in the season that we've had. But it was kind of good to catch up with maybe folk that you maybe don't really see that often at games. But yeah, it was good.
Great. So let's just go through the season. We'll talk about what happened. We'll talk about how we felt about it, and we'll try and work out what we think happened and maybe what we'd like to see next year. Obviously, everyone would like to see a few more wins, but we can talk about in a bit more detail than that. So, Lynn, why don't you start us off? Maybe just describe to us what happened this season.
Yeah, so it's not been the greatest season. We obviously only had 2 wins at home, which was quite disappointing, especially as a fan going to every game, season ticket holder. We want to see more wins at home. It's part of the excitement. I actually went down to Newcastle and I saw a win, so at least I got an extra win out of this season. But yeah, we never really had a good run of wins. We were, a couple of losses and a win, couple of losses and a win, and a few blowout games in between. We did have a couple of 5 or 6 close games as well, but we just never quite made it across the line with those. And the season could have been very different if we had just pushed forward with those. But it's not been the best. I did enjoy this season more than last season. I think there wasn't the uncertainty, the revolving door, the drama behind the scenes. So it was relatively calm. And it was Johnny's first season, full season as well. So we wanted to get behind him as well as fans. And, I still enjoyed going, whether win or lose.
Dan, do you agree with Lynn's description of what happened this season?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I mean, the record of 7 wins and 25 losses. That's for a club of our sort of stature and caliber, that's maybe not good enough. I think there was definitely a lot of games that we could have won. I think maybe we could have pushed double digits, maybe 10 or 11 games. A few games I thought we should have won that. One that kind of sticks to mind, comes to mind is the first game of the season against Newcastle in overtime that we lost. That game I feel like we should have won. There were games that we were playing well for 30, 35 minutes and then just couldn't close the lead out in the last 5 minutes, which was really heartbreaking.
Yeah. Dan, how did you feel before the season? How did you feel during it? How did you think other people felt, and how did you feel at the end of the season?
So I think before the season, I think a lot of us, and especially I did, I felt kind of hope, optimistic, kind of excited, another new season. We'd not had basketball for a good few months by that point. So I was looking forward to hoping, what happened last season would have been sorted out and kind of fixed, if that makes sense. Kind of during the season, you could see, I think it was a bit flat. I wasn't really sure what to think. So I think we've got some wins here, but can we build on that? And then towards the end of the season, I think I was more confused and frustrated. But then now, after the season's done, again a bit numb, but again at the same time relieved that it's over. Don't have to go through any more pain anymore and have to endure, which is quite nice.
Lynn, how did you feel through the season?
Yeah, I mean, at the start of the season, I even put out there in some of the forums, I have a good feeling we're not going to be bottom this year, and I'll eat my words now. Yeah, no, I started with lots of hope that, you know, we don't have the same drama as last year, and we're all behind Johnny, and the team on paper are every single person that we've signed, like on paper, they were individually fantastic. So the start of the season, I was very hopeful when I saw the squad and the highlight reels, and yeah, I thought we had a good chance. And then obviously as the season went on, wasn't looking so hopeful, but it's done now. We're ready for a rest and ready to start again and think of next season and show up for the guys.
What would you say was maybe the most positive thing this season, Lynn, and maybe what was the most negative point or low point for you this season?
I think the positive for me is Johnny has proven to himself that he's got what it takes. He's still fairly fresh to the world of coaching, but he's done a cracking job with the team. It's maybe not worked out so well, but you know, he's really keeping up and you know, showing the passion and driving the team forward, and that's a great positive. Someone from Scotland doing well in sport, and you know, we want to build basketball in Scotland, and who better than to take the lead than Johnny Bunyan? You know, been really proud of him. Yeah, negatives. Obviously, the performance on the floor. We haven't really gelled very well as a team. You know, individually, again, they're all great, but as a team, it's just not the mix hasn't been great at all. I can't really put into words what went wrong there, but I know that from speaking with Tony at the pre-season event, that, you know, they will be doing reflection on where it went wrong with recruitment this year.
Dan, what would you say is your positives and negatives from this season?
It's kind of hard to pick positives. Again, I think, you know, kind of seen, like what Lynn said, kind of seen John have his first full season as a head coach. You know, he was thrown in the mix, kind of forced to, you know, being it wasn't his experience. He was kind of already at the club, so he knows kind of the ins and outs, which is good. And the club legend that knows what the club's about. But maybe not say that he's not the answer, but I think he's maybe not cut out for it at this moment in time. I personally think he should have started off as a head assistant coach to gain some experience first. But yeah, I think seeing some of the games that were good crowds as well, seeing that fans still turn up the numbers for the games as well, showing that fans still believe in the long-term project. And I think negatively, again, kind of the blowout games, I think that we were just not good enough at all. Some just probably weren't too acceptable. I think a lot of the team probably didn't click together as well as I thought they were going to be.
From your knowledge of the league, obviously basketball for a few years now, like, how do you put Caledonia season into perspective? Like, how do you view, obviously, where we were at compared to the other teams? And I suppose, obviously, yeah, just how do you view it with regards to where we are in the league right now, what they've been building for a couple of years now, and where you think they need to take it potentially next season to sort of be more competitive with the rest of the league?
And so from the last kind of 2 seasons, I think there's been a huge gap, and from where we are and from where the other teams are, you can see, I think we're about 4 or 5 games behind the team above us. So there wasn't like we were kind of in sort of any reach of catching them. What else to say? I mean, it's hard to kind of say where we are. We kind of should be kind of pushing the kind of mid-table. Maybe I'd like to hope so. Kind of usually a top 4 team. Usually up there in the past couple of years. I just felt like the momentum has kind of dropped a lot recently. It just hasn't really felt the sort of same way that it used to.
I think looking at the other teams, they've always got a selection of superstar players. You know, you've got the Skylar Whites in Cheshire, and you've got the London team who are just fantastic. And I don't think we've had any sort of stand out players who take that lead and push us forward. You know, we've had, you know, a number of players that have done really well. Then the next game they don't do well. And then it's another player that's set to shine. We've just not had that kind of leader on court as well. Yeah.
Do you think that's the feeling amongst the people that you sit with on a week-to-week basis? Do you think that they have similar feelings to that, or have you heard any other thesis analyses? Like, what do you think the sense of the people that you watch the games with is on what's happened this season?
So at every game, we're always on the group chat, chatting away to each other, going, "Oh, this is miserable. Oh my God, I can't believe this. This is rotten." But then, we have a little run, and it's like, "All right, let's go." And then unfortunately we fall down again. But yeah, I think we are behind the guys. We are, wanting them to do well. It's hard not to feel deflated, and I think a lot of people around me were feeling that this year, and it's not. And I'm hoping that it's not going to be the same next season, because there's only so much a fan can take 2 seasons in a row. So people do get a bit down in the dumps, and we will have our opinions on players, but we never really have the same opinion on the same players. Usually I'll think someone's doing really well and others like, "Oh no, I don't rate him." It's always good to hear their opinions. Something I might have not thought of, or why this was happening, why that's happening. It's good to kind of collectively get together and chat through our thoughts.
Dan, what about you? Who you watch the games with, what are they saying?
If I'm just kind of talking on behalf of a lot of us, I think myself and another part of a kind of a diehard group chat WhatsApp, we all kind of talk about our kind of thoughts after the games, sometimes kind of before games, and everyone seems to just share the same sort of thoughts. They're not happy with where the club is. We can be better than this. They're capable of that. We don't deserve to be where we are. Sometimes we're just unlucky. But it's quite good to see a kind of varied, different perspectives of some people. Some people do can rate other players, some people don't, like Lynn said as well. It's difficult.
Lynn, just to conclude on this season, and then we'll swiftly move on. Just how would you summarise this season? What do you look back on fondly, if anything? What do you take away from this season? And I suppose, is there anything that Dan said tonight that sort of changes how you've viewed the season and how you look back on it now?
Yeah, it's definitely been disappointing, but I'm going to still come back. I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed watching basketball. I mean, we don't get enough opportunities to see basketball, and the fact that I live in East Kilbride, I've got Play Sport 5 minutes from me. What else am I going to do with my weekends? I enjoy watching basketball. Watch a lot of NBA as well, and I've really enjoyed it. And win or lose, it's a great experience over at Play Sport. Getting together with friends, chatting before and after the game. They've got a courtside bar now, which is very good to drown the sorrows. But no, disappointing on court, obviously. But the whole experience of getting to watch live basketball has been great for me.
Dan, what about you?
So again, I've enjoyed. I know I have enjoyed watching this season, getting to games quite regularly in a kind of state-of-the-art sort of facility. You don't really get that anywhere else, especially in this country. And it seems so modern, and especially being the only professional basketball club in Scotland, that is it's a blessing, and it's a real privilege as well. So it's good to have that, because like Lynn said, what else would you do in your weekend if you didn't have that? What else would you do? So it's good to have.
Yeah, we want it to be different next season. So let's just blank piece of paper and let's work out a bit of a plan for what's going to be different. So we'll start with you, Dan. So you're standing here right now, looking back on the season that we've just chatted about. What exactly do you want to be different next year? How are they going to go about doing it? And do you think the team is prepared and equipped to achieve the goal that you set for them?
So hopefully we can start looking at maybe better recruitment in the summer. I think it's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens with that, especially with the club kind of acknowledging that that's not been the sort of the greatest of outcomes. They've realised that. And it's not just them sort of giving them believing them, giving them time to kind of settle in. they've sort of realised, okay, maybe this hasn't quite worked out the way that we'd hoped. I think if we're kind of sitting at a sort of positive record by the kind of the end of the year, I think we're kind of on good track to kind of hopefully improve. I think we're looking for the right players. We're looking for maybe players that are a bit more experienced. I think for the past couple of years, especially, we're looking at players that maybe coming out straight from college or straight from kind of a year somewhere that maybe isn't a step up to match sort of the SLB, which is a professional league here in the country. So definitely need to look for sort of a veteran, sort of vocal kind of leader in the team.
Why do you think that is specifically important? And I suppose as the team, as you obviously hope the team moves up the table and has, like you say, a positive record by the end of the year, like is the end of the year sort of when you set a deadline to review that target, or like how long are you willing to give it potentially continuing in the same way before you would, want to see a change of strategy or change of plan or whatever,
Yeah, I'd say kind of by the end of the year, I think it's about a realistic time frame to kind of look at, where are we just now? How can we, get better? What can we do differently? I think, I think it's been kind of added on already. The league's getting more competitive. You can see there's kind of a step up in quality of players that are coming into the league with our teams. So we have to be able to compete and adapt with that.
Then I'll ask the same question of you. What exactly would you like to see differently next year, and how do you think the team are going to go about trying to do that?
Yeah, they definitely need to reflect on recruitment. They need to get a stronger team recruited going forward. They need to work out what went wrong in that recruitment process. But I know that they're already taking those steps to work out why the mix didn't work. But yeah, I think I don't want to be bottom next year, and that's going to be the true measure at the end of next season. I want to make sure that we're winning more home games as well for the fans. That will attract more fans as well. And yeah, just making sure that they are making the right decisions behind the scenes, and we're obviously not privy to that and anything that is going on behind the scenes, but hopefully they'll be a bit more communicative with us as fans, any changes that are going. I think that's maybe where they haven't been so great this year, just communication with fans as well. We want to know what's going on, and to hear from the club a bit more as well.
Ideal. Thanks very much for your time, guys. It's been
Thank
a
you.
disappointing season, but it was good to reflect on it, and here's hoping to more successful year next year. But thanks very much, and I'll get you back on over the summer to chat some more about Caledonia.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.